Okay, what's up, everybody? Crap Gamer here once again. Sorry about the technical difficulties. I deleted the other one, so I'll just start all over. This is Crappy Podcast number 2, and so if it's crappy, I warned you in the title, so don't get pissed off at me. Worrywart is off saving the day, doing whatever he does. Maybe he'll be back next week, but I think he'll be back for the small talk from Big Gamers podcast tomorrow. At least that's what he told me. But I have a very special guest. Why don't you introduce yourself once again?
I am Kinsey Burke, and I work for Seattle Retro Gaming. We put on the Seattle Retro Gaming Expo every year, obviously here in Seattle. So Seattle's got a lot going on. I know not everyone's local, but it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, Seattle is actually has a lot of really cool people like Metal Jesus. That's in fact where I saw Kinsey at first. She was on a couple of episodes with Metal Jesus Rocks. You guys might know him. He has a pretty large YouTube channel, and they were covering DS games. And I was like, man, this girl has a great personality. She'd be great to get on the show, but she probably won't want to do it because she's already been on Metal Jesus, and he's got like thousands and thousands of subscribers. But she was really nice and like agreed to come on, and so I was like, that's awesome, you know. So go check out her Metal Jesus videos. I posted a link to that in the description already. You can see she's a real cute girl, talks about retro games, just knows her stuff. So, you know, go check that out. And also I'll put a link to the Seattle Retro, her site. And she's also on Twitter. And what's your Twitter handle?
My Twitter handle is @Kinzilla.
Yeah, and she talks all the time on there and is real interactive with people that communicate with her. So definitely want to check that out. And also, yeah, she posts. I always see you tweet pictures of like different alcoholic beverages and stuff, and so yeah, it's really fun. It's a good time. You interact with people, which is really cool because I know like I'll tweet like I've tweeted Metal Jesus before, and he's like a real big guy or whatever, you know, and he's never responded. And then you responded, and I was like, oh, this is awesome. And then you agreed to come on the show, so that kicks ass. But anyway, to the topics. Here we go. We're gonna talk about games we loved as kids and that we thought were really good, and then when we went to play them as adults, we found out that they really sucked and they weren't as good as we remember. It tends to be as we get older, we look back on things more fondly than they actually were. This tends to be the case with video games as well. So why don't you go ahead and give me some examples of possibly where you loved a game as a kid and then went back to it and then you realized it sucked.
Well, when I was growing up, my very first system was the NES, and we had hardly any games for it because I was kind of lucky I got an NES to begin with. But one of them was John Elway Football, and I absolutely loved this game as a kid. Did I know how to play football? No, not at all. But
Yeah.
I just remember, like, hours of playing this game, and I think it just had really good sound effects, but even that, going back, I'm like, why? Why, Kinsey? This game is not good. There are so many other choices for good football games on the NES. And then, of course, another one that I think a lot of people did was Top Gun. Because I think everyone who had an NES played Top Gun. And I played so much of it, and looking back, I don't think I ever landed that jet as a kid.
Yeah, you know what I mean. I played Top Gun a lot too, and I'm with you. I think I landed it one time on. I landed it one time out of all the times I played that game, and there's only 4 levels, and I believe there's like cheat codes or something to it. As well, and that's how I got to the other levels. And there's only 4, and they're not very, it's not very long levels or anything like that. But the most difficult thing in the world is landing that plane. I mean, I have horrible memories of that as a kid, like just being so frustrated with it to the point where I wanted to break my controller. You know what I mean? Did that happen to you, where you were just absolutely frustrated with that game and wanted to break your controller?
Oh, definitely. And that, I think, was one game that when I landed the jet, or like, because I think I might have done it once, I was like 5. But, like, I remember, like, something happened in that game, and I was just like, oh, my gosh. Like, I need to tell everybody. Like,
yeah, I mean, you felt that, like, that was, yeah, that was, like, before achievement, so you had no way to prove it. Like, I remember I beat the level, I landed the plane, I went to go tell my brother later, and he's like, you didn't do that, do it again. And I was like, okay, and then I could never do it again, and you're just like, oh, my gosh, I can't believe that, you know, there's no way to record this. That's why I'm so happy that nowadays there's like capture cards and all this stuff. So if you do something awesome, you can just totally capture the moment and share it with people, or you get the achievement. And I really like that aspect of it. If I had to say some games that I liked as a kid, that really kind of stink is like I'm a big football fan, and this football game on the NES, which was my first console as well, was 10-Yard Fight. Have you ever heard of that game?
Yeah, I've played that game too.
Yeah, like you're just like these little stick figures, and they all move in uniform. So if you move to the right, your team moves to the right or to the left. There's no plays. There's not like 11 team players on each team. You can either throw the pass to one guy, or you just pitch it out to your running back, and he runs. And it's so bad. I mean, but we used to have we used to have epic battles with that game as a kid. You know, you always wanted to play football, and that was awesome. And then I went back to it, and I bought it at a shop for like 99 cents. And I was like, man, I can't wait to get home and play this. And then it just stunk. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so bad. It's terrible. You know, yeah, you know, it's just terrible. And that's not the only game like that either. I think I used to play Defender was the first game I ever played. I think I was like 4 or 5, and I remember thinking it was so cool, you know, on the Atari 2600 because you could actually tell what it was. It looks like a spaceship, and you're just going around blasting things. And I was like, this is really awesome. And then I went back to play it, and not even as an adult, even as a teenager. And I was like, man, I'm going to play this game. I had fun with it as a kid, and then I played it, and it was just really boring and not fun at all, you know. So I think that you know, as we grow up, like that makes me wonder if, like, you know, 10 years from now, if I'm going to look back and say, hey, you know, did Gears of War suck? You know what I mean? I mean, that's one of my favorite games, and I always worry, hey, well, I wonder how this game will hold up, you know, 10 or 15 years from now. You know, and sadly, I don't think a lot of games that are made today will actually hold up as well as certain games from back in the day. Like, I can still play Mario 3 anywhere, anytime, you know, and that's like one of my all-time favorite games, and I just have fun with it. Whereas, you know, but there's still a lot of bad games that go on and things like that. But yeah, okay. And another question. I know you do a lot of retro gaming things, and you did DS games and things like that. But what would you say are your top 5 favorite retro games of all time?
You know, it actually was really difficult for me to come up with this list. Because, like, I was like, oh, man, top 5. But I think I've narrowed it down. Okay.
Okay.
So, number 1, Final Fantasy IX.
Okay, Final Fantasy 9.
And, like, I know I've gotten, like, a lot of crap for that, liking that game so much before. But it's so good. It goes back to, like, the roots of the Red Mage and Blue Mage, and it's so wonderful. And then number 2, Secret of Mana.
Okay.
Number 3, Zelda Ocarina of Time. Number 4, Mario Land 2 and the 6 Golden Coins.
Okay. Is that a Game Boy game?
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's Game Boy,
okay.
and it's my favorite Mario game, like, ever. It's so good. And then I had to put, at number 5, Dig Dug.
Dig Dug. Oh, you went like really old school. And see, the Mario game, I played that on. I think I have a what the hell was that thing on? It was a Game Boy Color, and I played that game on there. And yeah, that's a really good Mario game. They were putting out at the time. That's one of the reasons why Nintendo has such good handhelds, is because they were putting out really quality games on their handhelds. You could even compare the quality to the games, even though they weren't color, to games on like the consoles. You know, they were really good. You can go back and play DS or Game Boy or Game Boy Color games, or even Game Boy Advance games, and they're really good still. You know what I mean? Like, they hold up well, and the quality that they put into their handhelds really shows and shines through.
Yeah, they're wonderful.
Yeah, they're really, really good. That's a really impressive list. My list is probably, you know, I like some newer games, but if I would say my number 5 game of all time would be Ocarina of Time. You know, I think that's probably going to be in like everybody's list. I love that game. It's really amazing. If I had to pick number 4, would probably be Star Wars: Knights of the Old Republic.
I almost put that in my list.
Yeah, I picked that just because I think that as far as RPG go, that was the reason I got an Xbox. I know it was on PC, but I'm a console guy. So when that was on Xbox, I mean, even more so than Halo or anything like that, I was like, I knew I had to get an original Xbox, and I wasn't disappointed. I play that game every single year. I recently did another review for it because I did Star Wars Week over the past week or whatever, and so I did like a Star Wars review like every single day. And that was one of the ones on there. I just have so much fond memories of that game, and the story was just like far outpacing anything in the newer movies, I thought. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just thought the story and they had the freedom to do that because they set it so far in the past, so it didn't conflict with anything going on in the movies or the expanded universe at the time. So I really liked the aspect of kind of this new story, but it had some familiar characters that you maybe have heard of before and things like that. So I really enjoyed that. I think let's see, my number three favorite game of all time was really tough to pick, but I picked Sonic 2 just
Nice.
because yeah, that was the game that when I got a Genesis, I mean that was what everybody, when I was a kid, Sonic was just like bad, what I mean? He was like bad cool, you know what I mean? Like, you know, he's bad, So he had that attitude, and everybody, he was fast, and Sega did what Nintendo don't, and all this stuff, and I felt like I was at an age where I was outgrowing Nintendo at the time. I mean, I was foolish, but so Sonic had that attitude and everything. So yeah, Sonic 2, and then I would say that my number two game would be let me think. What did I write down here? Blah 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 blah. Oh, Shenmue. I don't know if you know that game.
Yep, I sure do.
Shenmue. Yep. And the reason why is because and I talked a little bit about this, but I had a lot of anxiety problems and things like that. And a doctor actually said, "Hey, why don't you try gaming a little bit?" And I had Shenmue on my Dreamcast, and so I plugged that game in, and man, it took me weeks to beat that game. It was like 4 discs, and I remember just being so immersed when I'd get up or whatever. In the morning, I just want to play that game and expand that story and see what was happening. It was like unlike anything ever at the time, and now I know that it came at a cost of Sega being in the console business because that game almost bankrupted Sega basically single-handedly. It was so expensive, but at the time, the graphics were unlike anything you'd ever seen before. You know what I mean? They were just so impressive, and the storytelling. And I'm not a real big fan of QTEs, but it did them really well in that game.
Yeah.
I thought anyway. And my number one game, which I mentioned a little bit earlier, is Mario 3. That game just really came together. Like if you think back to it, you know how gamers nowadays, they hate on everything. They hate on the Mass Effect 3 ending. They hate on endings of games, right? Back in
Yeah.
the day, I hated the Mario 2 ending. It was just a dream. That's a spoiler, but yeah, turns out the whole game was just a dream, right? So, can imagine how pissed off gamers would be nowadays with that game. But so I was a little bit disappointed in that because I love the first Mario Brothers. You got it bundled with your NES, and it's great. And then it turns out that Mario 2 was this weird game, and it wasn't even really Mario Brothers. It was Doki Doki Panic. They just
Mhm.
reskinned it. So, I mean, I thought it was cool because Luigi had those little legs and he could kick, and he's like one of my favorite characters. But so that part was cool. But Mario 3 was really a return to form for me. I mean? I thought that was what Mario should be. It was really cool, and it was like, you get the P wings. Like I can beat that game in like under a half hour. It's like, you beat the first world, and then you get the warp whistles. Like, yeah, I still know where to get the warp whistles to this day. You know what I mean? You just duck behind that white block, run behind there, grab the warp whistle, then you go into the castle and fly up with the raccoon suit. Boom, press up at the doorway, warp whistle. And back in the day, you had to get those tips from Nintendo Power. There was no internet or anything like that, so. Those games are so ingrained with me, and I still have so much fun with that game, and I love it so much. It's like, are you a big fan of Mario 3?
I really like Mario 3. That one was another one I was kind of trying to decide if I wanted that in my top 5, but I really decided that 6 golden coins is where it was at.
Yeah, I mean that's a rare one. You like the handhelds and things like that, which is really cool. You know what I mean? And I love that game too. I was actually surprised at how great that game was, and I'm surprised you actually mentioned it. It's a really more of a rare game, and really props for bringing that up. I didn't think you would break out the Game Boy game, so that's really an interesting find. So that proves that you know what you're talking about.
I try.
You definitely know what you're talking about. And another topic I wanted to talk about a little bit is maybe our favorite obscure consoles. Like was there any obscure consoles? Like we all know, like the Genesis, the Super Nintendo, but there is for every good console that we know about, there's a lot that most people don't really care about or know about. So was there any consoles that you really enjoy that maybe are a bit obscure?
Definitely. I actually have 2, but one is way more obscure than the other. First is the Neo Geo Pocket.
Yeah.
Totally overlooked. It has probably the best handheld joystick ever. It's amazing.
And
And
it's in full color too, right?
yeah, it's full color. It's a wonderful system. Well, there's the Neo Geo Pocket Color, and yeah, that one's full color. So,
Yeah.
But completely overlooked. Like when I was younger, I didn't even know anyone who had one. I knew no people who had an Neo Geo Pocket growing up.
Yeah, you know what? I didn't know anybody that had one either. But I have one now. You know, I bought it off eBay or whatever, and they're really cool because I'm a bit of a collector. I mean, I don't have like a Metal Jesus type collection, but I have like a pretty decent collection, and that is definitely a good hidden gem. What other
Yeah.
ones would you say?
I have a really soft spot in my heart for the Game Gear.
Oh my gosh, I have a Game Gear with about like 60 games. You know,
Yeah.
did you have like all the attachments and things to that thing too?
I had some ridiculous attachments, and like the battery life was so bad, as most people know, that I literally sat by the wall when I was little with the AC charger.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is not like a handheld. Like I remember my parents like bought it for us when we were doing a road trip to Disneyland, and that was like they regretted that 2 hours into the drive.
Yeah. Well, you know what was like so interesting is like I got another one recently because my old one broke. You know, those things sometimes have a problem with the screen. You'll turn them on and there's just like a little line across the screen, like the transistors in there or whatever break really easily. But so I got another one and I bought some new batteries for it, and literally I put these brand new batteries in there, turned it on, and the light turns red on there like as soon as I turned it on. So I guess they weren't like the greatest batteries, but yeah. And what was really cool about the Game Gear at the time was it had a TV adapter on there.
Yep.
You could watch TV. It had a tuner on there. I had this big, and I still have it. It's this magnifying glass that you put over the screen to make it bigger, right? And it's like, it makes it bigger, but you look like so ridiculous. Just like, holding up this screen and like, I don't know, it looks real. But there's so many great games for that console. There was like, I believe, like 4 or 5 Sonic games for it.
Mm-hmm.
I have those. There's a couple of really good X-Men games for it. I have those as well. In fact, there's one. I'm probably going to get some hate for this, but there's a Power Rangers game for it that was really good. It was like a side-scrolling, like beat 'em up or whatever, and I really enjoyed that game. And it had full-on Mortal Kombat games, which were really fun. And you could like link them up. Like me and my brother had them, and we could link them up and play two-player against each other. So it was like a handheld that was ahead of its time. Like a lot of problems with Sega is they come out with stuff ahead of its time when it's a bit more expensive or not the best on battery life and things like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Don't forget
I
the
remember.
Sega Nomad.
Oh, there's WRRYWART. Hey, what's up? You're back.
Hey, how you doing? How you doing?
Hey, WRRYWART. This is Kinsey.
Hello.
Kinsey, this is WRRYWART.
Sega Nomad.
Oh, it's so good.
Yes, I still have it. Doesn't work, but I still have it.
Oh, you know what was really good about the Sega Nomad was it could play the Genesis games. You know, you could take your Genesis collection with you, but that thing was terrible on batteries too.
I know. It lasted I got about a good 7 minutes out of it.
Yeah, like 7 minutes is the tops. They actually made battery packs for that thing that you could take with you. But anyway, hey, while you're here, WRRYWART, let me ask you something. Is there any games that you liked as a kid that you thought were really great and you went back to them and they stunk?
Okay, well, I just got in, so I'm going to pull these off the top of my head. Alex Kidd in Miracle World.
Okay.
I loved it. That was on the TurboGrafx 16, correct?
I think it was on the Genesis, wasn't it?
I remember playing it on the TurboGrafx 16.
It might have been multi-platform, but I think there is an Alex Kidd.
And I
on
actually, do you remember the Atari got Pac-Man, but they didn't get the Pac-Man that that everyone thought it was going to be?
Yeah.
Remember that game? How bad it was? I don't
was-
know if they didn't get the publishing rights to it or not, but they just put out this Pac-Man version that was not Pac-Man, and when I got it, for some reason, I remember playing it. Oh, this is Pac-Man, and then all of a sudden, you go to the arcade and you play Pac-Man, and then you come home and you're, oh, what is this?
Well, you know what happened? Go ahead.
He doesn't even turn like in
Exactly.
the Atari one.
Right.
It's horrible.
He faced left, and that was it. He just went up, down, left, and right, but he never turned.
Yeah, it didn't help that the Atari controllers were so bad at that. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Like
they were terrible.
they were terrible. Like what's interesting is later on I found out you could hook up like the Genesis controller to the Atari.
Really?
Yep, you can hook up the Genesis controller to the Atari and it works fine. You can hook up the I believe the Sega Master System and to the Atari as well, and those are like, that's weird, isn't it, that they work together?
It is
But
strange.
those controllers are so much better at like Atari games. But the problem with Pac-Man is they outsourced it. They outsourced the game to a third-party developer, and they did a really bad port job.
It was awful.
It's terrible. I have it because I think everybody has that. Like, you know, sometimes you can like I go around and I'll search for games at like flea markets and stuff, and you can tell like the people that don't know what they're doing because they'll like have a $10-15 price tag on Pac-Man. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a well-known game, they think that it's worth money. That's not the case. What happens is it's a well-known game, which means a lot of people bought it, which means it's not worth that much money. You know what I mean? So that game's like worth about $1 or $2, and a lot of times like people will just try to screw you out of, you know, money. Like, can you believe how much ET goes for now?
Well, I was just going to say, the worst game that I remember playing is, I remember, the only reason I remember this is because recently they just dug up all those old Atari cartridges
Yeah.
in the desert, and I remember the commercial where they said it was a wonderful love story cartridge, and I couldn't wait to play it, and it was just, I didn't even, I put it in, turned it on, and I remember thinking, what is this? What am I supposed to do? What's going on?
And
Like
then you fell in a hole. Like,
you fall in a hole, and then his neck grows, and you levitate out of the hole, and there are three trees on the screen, and then there's a guy in a trench coat chasing me. So I don't know.
Yeah, well, you know what? That's what happens when you give a developer like I forget what it was, a few weeks to develop the game, like 6 weeks or something, or 4 weeks.
Yeah.
yeah,
It was-
6 weeks.
Yeah, 6 weeks. It's like I don't know if you guys ever saw this cartoon. It's called Code Monkeys.
No.
Oh my gosh, you guys gotta watch this cartoon. It's a cartoon about programmers from the 80s. They like spoof all the Atari stuff and things like that. But anyway, what they do is, and that's the train going by. Awesome. Yes. So anyway, what they do is it's a comedy or whatever, and it was on like G4 back in the day, and they actually do this funny story about what happened with that, and they paid one of the in the cartoon. They pay this guy. He's supposed to go see the movie E.T. and then come back and make the game E.T. for the Atari or whatever. Well, he ends up going to a strip club instead, and so he pays some kid to like give him a synopsis of it, and it ends up being totally wrong, and that's what messed up the game. So I always look back to that episode of Code Monkeys, and yeah, I know I like cartoons, whatever, but yeah, that was really funny. It's on Netflix, you know, Code Monkeys. Look it up; it's really funny. But anyway, yeah, that game was really bad, but it's not as bad as okay, Atari games for the most part were bad anyway. You know what I mean? You had to have a really good imagination to play them.
Yeah, I mean but that's what's missing today. You know, there's no imagination in a lot of games.
Oh, I
It's just,
agree.
you know, it's one explosion after another, and then the game's over.
Yeah,
True.
it is. Now, do you have 5 favorite? We already did our 5 favorite retro games of all
boy.
time. Time to pull it out of your ass, bro. Just,
I liked. How far back do I have to go? Does it matter?
you can go anywhere. You can go with up until the last generation. Consider retro now.
And can they be handheld?
Yeah.
Okay, one of my favorites is the Minish Cap, The Legend of Zelda.
Oh
Oh,
man,
so
that's
good.
that is really good.
I like that a lot. Let's see. Oh boy, one of my favorite games was on a PS2. It was called Eco. Do you remember playing that?
Oh yeah, I always say Ico. Is it Eco or Ico? Like
It's
I guess
Ico,
it's like
isn't it?
tomato, whatever.
Isn't that's from like the Shadow of Colossus people, right?
Yeah, it was their
Yeah.
first game. It was called Eco, and I remember actually. This is pretty bad, but at the end of the game, I actually stood up and applauded. That's how much I loved. I love that game. So you got Minish Cap, Eco. Boy, God. On the Genesis, probably Altered Beast. Remember that one?
Yeah, I have it on the
Yeah.
Genesis collection on 360.
Space Harrier.
Okay, that was a really good one. Did you know you could play that game in Shenmue?
I did. You play in the arcade, correct?
Yeah, like that was so
Yeah.
good. I mean, they don't do that anymore, but there's a couple of games that did that. Like Shenmue would let you play these old arcade games, and the same thing with Animal Crossing on the GameCube. You could play all these old NES games by collecting them in that game, and you could play them. There was a ton of them, and nowadays they don't do that because that's like basically giving away games that they're gonna sell to you later on an eShop or whatever. But that's like really cool little bonuses, you know what I mean? Being able to
Yeah.
play those full games like
How many was
within the
that? Was
game.
that 3 I said, or 4?
That's 3, I believe.
And then Zaxxon and probably Dig Dug.
Oh, you guys have
Dig
the
Dug!
same number 1.
Who?
You and Kinsey.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, wow. That's like Serendipity. If I knew what that word meant, I'm sure that's what it would be.
Well,
And I love Dig Dug. Thank you.
yeah, it was great. That and Burger Time, and
Oh, Burger
I
Time
loved
is
all those guys.
hard.
You remember Popeye?
Yeah. Oh, I remember Popeye.
That was
Man, I love
ColecoVision. Yeah.
Yeah, Popeye was pretty. Man, you take it way back, Warrior. That's why people like you, man. You're you're an old school gamer, man, and people like respect that. Me, they just think I'm like I don't know. They
Oh,
they don't
yeah.
they don't
They
think
hate-
good
they hate
things.
you.
They don't
Yeah.
think good things. But I'm not bad. At Warrior, am I bad? Really? I'm not. I mean,
What's the next topic?
do you have any favorite obscure consoles? Like,
Yes.
Okay.
I would say the Atari Jaguar.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
It
good
was-
choice.
Yeah. I really liked the 30. It was the Genesis, but then the 32X add-on.
Yeah, one of the cancerous add-ons.
Yeah, and the Sega CD. Do you remember Sewer Shark?
Yeah, I remember Sewer Shark.
Oh, it was so bad. And then what was the game with Dana Plato from Different Strokes?
Night Trap.
Oh,
Oh, Night Trap!
it was so bad, but I loved it.
Yeah, Night Trap was weird.
I really, you know what? I don't know if it counts as a console, but before I had the Atari, I had the Commodore 64, and a lot of people used that to play games back in the day because you had these little tape decks that you would actually put a cassette tape in, and those were the games.
Yeah, there was a Transformers game like that on the
Exactly,
Commodore
that's
64.
what I was going to say.
Yeah.
There was a Transformers game, and then there was like a Tooth Defender game where you learned how to brush your teeth. It was
Yeah, how
terrible.
the hell do they put a game on a tape?
Oh, it took about 15 minutes to load.
Yeah, I remember the Transformers game taking a long time. It had some long loading screens. Man,
was
that's
bad.
like.
But I really do. I think the best, it's not obscure, but I mean, you would have to go to the Atari. That pretty much started, home console gaming.
Yeah, I mean, they kind of. If you look back at what caused the crash, a lot of people like, oh, it's ET. It wasn't just ET, or
It
you know
was
what I'm saying.
a lot of garbage games and a lot of.
Yeah, a lot of really like people don't realize is back then anybody could publish it, put a game out on an Atari, and sell it for a cheap price, and so people were going in and buying these trashy games thinking that's all there was, and there was so much more. And then Atari came out with a new console, and back in the day, people didn't realize that you needed to upgrade your hardware every 4 or 5 years. They were like, "Why do I have to buy a new console? I just bought this one a few years ago, and now you're telling me I got to buy a new one." So, and actually, thankfully, the Commodore and those personal computers kept gaming going here in the States during the crash and things like that, because people were still using those to game kind of secretly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually just got an Amiga, the Amiga 5000,
Oh,
and
wow.
a Commodore. And I live in like the tiniest apartment in the world, so I haven't set up my Amiga yet. But
Did you get the cassette tape, the little add-on for it?
no, I don't have that part. I have the floppy drive for the Commodore and everything, but I don't have that part.
Is the floppy drive the one that's about like the size of your arm, the length?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. I have two
Wow.
of them too. Like,
Wow.
what am I gonna do with these?
Hey, where did you get that from?
It's funny because I got it from the Portland Retro Gaming Expo last year,
Uh-huh.
but the second I found one, we instantly found one at Goodwill,
Yeah.
and I was like, well, of course.
You know
but
what's
at
a
least
good game
the one
to
I
look
got.
a good game to look out for on that is called Raid on Bungling Bay. Did you ever hear of it?
No.
It was on the Commodore 64. It's called Raid on Bungling Bay. It's by Broaderbound Software.
Mhm.
It's basically like it's kind of like you're in a helicopter, and it's almost like The Sims kind of, where you're managing resources and stuff like that. But it's hard to find. It's on floppy, but if you can get it, did something just explode?
Kind of sounded that way.
Yeah. I think Crap decided to finally do it and jump off the roof.
Well, let's hope not. Oh, I shouldn't laugh at that. Why is that funny?
Yeah, right. That's a really, really good one. Yeah, I played so much on the Commodore 64, but before, Atari came out, that was it.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. Actually, I have to look through. I have a giant stack of like, burned is not the right word. I don't know the right word. Copies of floppies. But I have a whole bunch of those, and I need to look through them and see if I have that one.
Do you have a legal department sitting next to you that told you to say Copied, not burnt.
So who knows? I might already own that game. Who knows? Like the next one I want to play is Leather Goddesses of Phobos. Even though I don't have the scratch and sniff cards, but I think I'll be okay.
Oh wow.
There were scratch and sniff cards.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey, they probably stink pretty bad by now, or they're poison. So.
It's funny because it kind of was their like. In a way, copyright protection, so people couldn't reproduce it. Like, you come to a door and it has a symbol on it, the only way to open it is to type in what that smell is, which is actually really interesting.
Wow, how would you even, I mean, it probably just smells like garbage now. You're like, oh, that smells like crap. You know what I mean? Hey, that's really bad. You know what game, the original Call of Duty Black Ops let you play Zork. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Zork.
Oh, yep.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Like, that was my first experience with that. Like, you get an achievement for unlocking it, and then I played it. It was actually interesting because you use your imagination. I don't know how many P's are in that game, WarRRYWART, but I have to imagine there's not a lot.
You know what game recently that did that, like what Shenmue did with going into an arcade? Project Gotham Racing lets you play. What was the game, and it became an actual arcade hit on the 360. You actually played it. When you were in your garage, when you were playing Project Gotham Racing, there was like a little arcade cabinet in the back.
Geometry Wars?
That's the game, yes.
Oh,
Yes.
I like Geometry Wars.
Geometry Wars was like the first game to launch on the Xbox Live Arcade for the
Exactly.
360. Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember playing it on the original Xbox. I bought Project Gotham Racing, obviously, to play Project Gotham Racing, but then there was this little arcade cabinet in the back of my garage, and I went over to it, and I started playing this game, and I got addicted to it, and then, of course, when the 360 came out, the first big hit is this game called Geometry Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Project Gotham Racing was Gotham City Racing, and then there was some legal issues with that, so...
I wonder why.
Yeah, I mean, Gotham City Racing, huh?
Yeah.
Do you have any more possibly obscure ones there, WarRRYWART? You go back in the past?
The Atari Lynx.
That was actually a really good console, and it is pretty obscure, but that was full color as well, wasn't it?
Yes, yes. No, I think the Nomad was the full color one, wasn't it? No, I'm sorry, you're right.
The Lynx was full color.
Yeah,
Full color.
Yeah, Lynx is full color, and you could turn it like horizontal or vertical. It was pretty rad.
Yeah, like what was so interesting is when you look back, like the Game Gear was much more powerful and color, and the Lynx was color and much more powerful than the Game Boy. But somehow Nintendo has always had this like hold on the handheld market.
Well, you know what it was originally? It was, I mean, that one game that everybody was trying to get that Nintendo got, and it was Tetris.
Tetris, yeah, they had everybody over there in Russia trying to secure the rights.
Right.
And yeah, see, I know my video game stuff. I watch it, man.
Yeah, sometimes one game can, push a system. Doesn't happen that much anymore, but back in the day it did.
Isn't Tetris like the #1 selling game of all time?
Yeah, if it isn't, I don't know what is. I mean, it's probably...
Yeah, I mean, that was bundled in with every single copy, every single Game Boy. And what was so good about the Game Boy, the original Game Boy, even though it was monochrome, 2 batteries, Matt. Wasn't it just 2 batteries?
Yeah.
Or it might
The
have been
original
3.
Game Boy? It was 4. Wasn't it?
4 batteries, but
Was
those
it
things
4?
would...
It might have been 4.
But if you put in 4 batteries, that thing lasted you a long time.
Yeah, I mean, it was black and white, and it was dot matrix.
Yeah, so I mean... Yeah, but they had really good games. Also, I remember playing a really good Terminator 2 game on the Game Boy.
Hey, how about the Vectrex? Did anybody ever have that?
Oh my god, the Vectrex, you guys.
Yes. Yes.
It's so good, and it has that like 3D attachment that has that wheel that spins and the head thing. Yeah. I'm sure it has a name, and it's much more eloquent than that.
It's the spinny wheel thing. I mean, everybody knows that. Come on.
Yeah, I remember when that came out. It was like all in one, the Vectrex. It was like its own little TV screen, own little controller, and you would have to slip in the screens to change the colors for the games. Like you got Star Castle. Star Castle came with it. Really good game. Star Castle was basically an Asteroids ripoff.
I've never had a Vectrex. I've never even come across one. I can't imagine that they would be cheap.
Oh, you can get one.
They've gone up recently.
Yeah, you could probably get one.
Hey, everything ebbs and flows. I'm like happy I got my copy of ET because now that thing's worth like $50.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I think it's time to sell.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think so.
Hello, eBay. You know, it was like
You should cover it with some dirt first.
Yeah. Hey, I got this from the Atari Dig.
Just go out
Go
out in your backyard and just take a picture standing next to a pile of dirt with it.
Pour some garbage on it.
Somebody will give you 100 instead of 50.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, you know what? Like, I used to do a eBay shop for like retro games and stuff years ago, and I used to buy like big lots of games, and I used to have like about 50 copies of Mario Brothers 1. Right, and I couldn't give those things away. But then when I was looking for a copy, because I don't know what happened to all mine, people wanted like $15 for them. I'm like, man, I couldn't give these things away like 5 years ago, and now you guys are asking like $15 for that. You know what I mean?
Oh, it's crazy.
I mean, you can take anything in your house now and bury it in your yard, and 100 years later, somebody will give you money for it. You know?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna do my list for obscure consoles. I absolutely love the TurboGrafx 16.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, we had to pick, like my older brother and I, we had to pick which console we wanted to get, and he wanted a Genesis, and I kind of wanted a Genesis, but then I really wanted Bonk's Adventure. That game was really like spoke to me. I was like, hey, you're this cool caveman, and you hit things with your head. I think that's really cool. So
and that spoke to you.
Yeah, well, it spoke to Yeah. You know, I was just like, it looked like me a little bit. You know what I'm saying? If I was,
can I shave my head and hit things with my head?
Exactly.
Sure.
Plus, at the time, people actually were suing them because Bonk would pick up raw meat and eat it and replenish his health, and somebody picked up meat thinking it would replenish them or make them feel better, and they got sick, and so they ended up suing them for it or whatever. But yeah, so I really like Bonk's Adventure. In fact, I have the first two emulated on my PSP. Yeah. The PSP is really good for emulation.
Okay.
I've heard that.
Yeah, like I'm not trying to advocate that, but I mean obviously, you know, there's certain things like the Dreamcast. You can burn if you have a CD burner. Boom, you can burn the entire library on a.
We've already established that we're not going to use the word burn. We're going to say copy.
Oh, well, you can copy games over to the Dreamcast. Well, what's really cool about that is there's a lot of Dreamcast games that are really expensive. You know, and really rare, like Power Stone.
Yeah.
Good luck getting that game cheap, and so burning it might be one of the only options. I don't know if that's if the Dreamcast is an obscure console. Do you know how like people look at the GameCube now as being a good console, but back when it was out, they didn't?
Well, I wasn't one of those people. I thought it was a great console.
Well, it had this whole thing of being kiddie. You know what I'm saying? It looked like a lunch pail.
Yeah, it could have been the purple lunchbox look that they decided to go with, but other than that, it had really, really great games.
Yeah, and then they put out that Zelda game, which now we all look at it as really great.
The Wind Waker.
Yeah, and they HD remade that, and it turned out really beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, people hated on Wind Waker so much when it came out.
Didn't they though? They like really hated it.
But you know what happened though? They showed this demo where you had like a realistic looking Link and a realistic looking Ganon. They were fighting, and that was before the E3 that year. And then at E3, out comes this cartoony Link with giant eyes. It was just such a shock to people to see that. You know what I mean? But now, you know, now playing the game. I mean, I downloaded it on the Wii U, the HD remake. I mean, it's just as good looking as titles that are out now.
Yeah, because of the cell shading, it makes it like stand out. Like it's timeless, really. And the Zelda games are always so good anyway. I'm one of those people that a lot of people hate on Nintendo and say, oh, they release the same stuff over and over again. I think there's a reason why those games are so successful. People like them. And if you look at like the Zelda titles or the Mario Kart titles, they release one per generation realistically.
Yeah. But the same people complaining about Zelda being the same thing over and over and over again. When they're done complaining about it, then they go play Call of Duty with their friends online. You know what I mean?
I'm not gonna lie, I got like 12 Call of Duty games.
Yeah, I mean that's the same game over and over.
Yeah, it really is.
You can also think about it though; they do the same thing over and over again. But then when they try to do something different, nobody likes it.
Exactly. You know? You're damned if you do, damned if you don't, and that's a great point because that game is looked at now as great, and the GameCube is looked at as really good console, but everybody hated it when it came out. I mean, I didn't. I thought it was cool, but a lot of people were like, ooh, you know, you don't got a PS2. Ooh, you don't got an Xbox. And I was like, I got a GameCube. You know what I mean? So, yeah, but I mean, eventually I got both of those too, but because I really got into online gaming as well. So, I mean, my first online gaming experience was when a console was with the Dreamcast, and I plugged up my 56K modem on Net Zero or whatever that was and lagged all around on 2K. Hey, buddy, quit barking. Yeah, he's like a little terror. He's like a 17-pound Havanese that just he thinks he's
Aw.
much big. Yeah, he thinks he's much bigger and badder than he is. Buddy, behave. But anyway, yeah. So I really like, even though it's not obscure, the Dreamcast is probably one of my all-time favorite consoles. It's a travesty what happened to it because, again, Sega was ahead of their time with it. With the online gaming, they knew that it couldn't compete in the terms of graphics with the PS2, so they put all their money in the online, and it was just a little bit too early because online gaming sucked with dial-up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then probably one of my all-time favorite consoles is, like I said, the TurboGrafx 16. But I also really, really love what is that thing?
You must really love it. You can't even remember it.
Yeah, I have it. Sitting there trying to figure out what the hell it is. Yeah, I'm sure whatever it is, guys. I'm sure I love it. Yeah, I'm sure whatever the hell it is. I'm sure I love it a lot. I mean,
Wow.
yeah.
That's a glowing review.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah. I mean, it's great, isn't it? You know what I mean?
Right now, people are screaming, "It's the Xbox One." That's what he wants to say.
Oh no, it could be the Wii U though. It's nobody knows about that thing. Oh, you know what's funny though? Hey, all three of us in this podcast have a Wii U, so think on that.
Yeah, of course. Why
That's
wouldn't
true.
Yeah. Although I have to say, Kinsey is the first friend that I added on Wii U. I had no friends up until that point because plus the online is kind of bad. But I am going to get Mario Kart. So.
You know what's interesting about what you just said? My brother's son, my nephew, I was speaking to him earlier last week, and he's all over, these Call of Duty games and, just what kids are into now. And he said to me, I played this game. I don't know what it was, but you're in this like little go-kart, and it was a lot of fun. It was like the best looking game I ever saw. And I'm like, was it called Mario Kart? And he's like, yeah. So, it's like Nintendo still has that hold and that pull. It's just that I think with the rise of mobile and tablets, there's so much more that are pulling people away from the stuff that they do.
Oh, I agree. I mean, when I got the Wii U home, I was like, hey, let me try out this Nintendo Land game. But then guess what? Like, it's not online enabled, and I don't have anybody really that, hey, come over and play, because a lot of gamers don't do the couch co-op thing anymore. You want to play online.
I loved co-op when I had somebody sitting right next to me,
Oh, that's my favorite.
Yeah, I mean, like me and my younger brother were like that a lot too. Like that's why we both like the Star Wars Battlefront 2. That was like co-op, like any game that you can play through together. That's why we like Dead Island. That was a really fun game more recently that we played through. Like I'm always looking for, me and you, WarRRYWART, when this Halo collection comes out, and we buy it because we will.
I'm just certain games I'm just crazy for, and there's no logic behind it.
We're gonna play through all the campaigns. We're gonna play through all the campaigns because that's what we do.
And people make fun of me all the time. They're like, "You mean you play Halo single player? What's wrong with you?" Yeah. I don't care about the online. I love the story.
The online I'm so bad at. I mean, if you want to know somebody with like a 0.3 KD, that's me. You know what I mean? Like I don't get it. People jump all around, and I'm like, stand still. You know what I mean? Like it's embarrassingly for me, but I'm sure I've ended up in a few people's montages before. Like you can always tell when they're montaging because they'll do some kind of like flip or whatever, and it's whatever. But I have another topic, retro or not. There's a lot of games that maybe we're all considered gamers, and there's games that people consider are like rite of passage, like everybody's had to play it. Maybe there's some games that everybody's played or that you're kind of embarrassed to admit that you haven't played. If you understand what I'm saying.
Who you asking, me or?
Yeah, you go first, WarRRYWART.
Ladies first.
Okay, Kinsey, you go ahead.
All right. Well, I have two. Well, I have three, but one of them is not. I don't think a rite of passage game. It's one that just like not against anybody else, but against me. I'm embarrassed that I have not played it. But the two big ones are Half-Life and Uncharted.
Oh, you haven't played Half-Life.
You haven't played Uncharted.
I know. See?
Wow.
You haven't played any of the Uncharted?
It's okay if you guys want to kick me off this podcast.
No, that's okay.
No, I mean, you know what? Like, do you like Tomb Raider? Like, did you play the new Tomb Raider?
Yeah, I really liked it. And actually, on my Seattle Retro Gaming podcast, we did a New Year's resolution episode, but we picked New Year's resolutions for other people, basically.
That's
And
a good
mine,
idea. We'll have to remember that.
Yeah, the one they gave me was I play the Uncharted series this year.
Yeah,
Oh,
I think if you play it, you'll see a lot of, and this isn't a knock against it, you'll see a lot of references to really, really old school Tomb Raider games. You know what I mean?
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Like it's sort of got the moniker Dude Raider, which it shouldn't have gotten, but
I called it that when it first came out.
I mean, it's more than just Tomb Raider with a guy, but there's a lot of references, to the old Tomb Raider games. But as far as the way story is delivered in a video game, there aren't many better games that do that.
Especially the second one, I'd say.
Right, than the Uncharted series, yeah.
Yeah, that might be like when you finish the second Uncharted, you might be like, wow, that's one of the best games I ever played because it was just really that good. And like as far as the story and stuff, the first one was good. The second one though was like just the business. That was the game, Like
I can't believe you haven't played Half-Life.
I know. So I've played it doesn't even count as playing. But when I got the orange box, I was like, okay, I'm gonna play this. And I probably played, I don't know, an hour of Half-Life 2. And then I just went and then I played Portal, and I was like, this is my jam. And then I forgot about Half-Life 2.
Yeah.
Did you buy the orange box? Did you buy the disc or did you buy it on sale when it was on sale digitally?
I pre-ordered the disc.
Oh,
so
okay. You pre-ordered the disc. Okay.
I mean, you could get the original Half-Life on the PS2. It came out on the PlayStation 2.
You could get it. You could get like a copy on the Dreamcast because it was supposed to come out on the Dreamcast, but the Dreamcast died before it released. I actually have a copy of it. Looks pretty legit, but the damn thing loads like every 2 seconds.
Ugh.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. It's pretty rough. I mean, that's probably why one of the reasons it didn't come out. Is there any other games that like people might be surprised that you haven't played?
Daggerfall is one that I've kicked myself for. Like, I know it's not like a game that everyone's played. Probably not very many people have played it.
Yeah, I haven't played it.
But I just love Elder Scrolls.
Yeah. I think I played everything in the Elder Scrolls. God, I played everything. All their games.
Arena?
No, I haven't played Arena. There you go.
I win!
And Morrowind was on the original Xbox, right? That came out on the original Xbox.
Yeah. Yeah, and PC, yeah.
Wow, I haven't played Arena.
Sorry, I just crushed you playing all the Elder Scrolls games.
Were you gonna get the Elder Scrolls Online, WarRRYWART?
No, I'm not a big MMO person.
No.
Yeah.
Dude, they say it's like Skyrim, but more MMO.
No,
but...
Skyrim is just the best game. Skyrim is my kind of game. Yeah.
Oh, it's so good.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say I was in the Elder Scrolls Online beta, and I have some complaints about it, but yeah.
Well,
you know why I don't like MMOs? Because nobody plays them the way you're supposed to play them. Like if you're gonna play an MMO, then you take on the role of a character. Act like that character. Yeah. Be that character. Don't just do things to level up, and it breaks the illusion to me when I play with other people when they don't want to actually participate in pretending like they're in that world. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, but
then you're just like.
Go ahead.
You're just in this world like full of assholes, I think, when you play an MMO.
and that's called reality. So why would I want to be there?
Exactly.
Exactly.
Hey, and you liked Skyrim though, right?
Me?
I love Skyrim.
Oh, it was probably one of my top 3 favorite games last generation. Absolutely. Hello?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, WarRRYWART, go ahead, man.
So things that I haven't played that I'm embarrassed. I never played a Dragon Age game.
Oh.
What?
Oh my gosh, no.
Wow.
So yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, I never played Dragon Age, probably because I really like the Mass Effect series and I like the Elder Scrolls series, so they all kind of like hovered around each other at the same time. So there's that, which is probably the biggest one based on your reaction. Do I even have to come up with another one?
You can. I mean, look, the first Dragon Age was awesome. I thought it was really good. The second one was okay. The problem that I had with the second one was they really kind of dumbed it down, like where you couldn't outfit your companions and things like that. I thought that was kind of lame, and it just seemed like one big side mission. Hey, I mean, BioWare is known for that a little bit. Meet somebody, do a mission for them, get them to be loyal, and then go do this big bad fight at the end, which is cool and all. But I thought the second one was a bit of a letdown, but I still bought it, and I'm gonna get the third one.
I bought it and I played it twice.
Yeah, I bought it. You know what? I bought it on. That's one of the rare games where I bought Dragon Age 1 and 2 on the 360, and I bought them on the PS3. I double dipped on those games. They're really good. You could get them used for like $5-10 now, dude.
Yeah, and they just announced the Inquisition Super Collector's Edition, and it's rad.
Are you gonna get it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the battle system like? It's not like random battles. Is it like Final Fantasy?
No, it's
no.
it's actiony. You know, like the first one's a little bit more like, I don't want to say like KOTOR, but it kind of is. Like you queue them up a little bit more in the first Dragon Age.
Yeah.
But the second one is a little on the hack and slash edge. Like.
Hey, see, you know what? If you started your YouTube channel, that's the kind of thing you get hits on. You unbox stuff like the Dragon Age Collector's Edition. I'm just throwing that out there. Like I keep trying to talk her into doing her own YouTube channel because she'd be really good at it.
It's kind of weird that you'll get hits on people watching you open something.
You will. Like, okay. I mean, you guys have heard
doesn't register to me. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, you guys get, like, you've heard of that Loot Crate stuff, right?
No.
Yeah.
You've never heard of Loot Crate, WarRRYWART?
What's it called?
It's called Loot Crate, all right? What you do is you pay this company or whatever, it's like $15 a month. They send you this crate full of, like, swag, dude. It's like...
and you just open it.
Yeah, you open it, and people do unboxings. You can, like, look it up on YouTube, Loot Crate unboxing. And there's, like, gaming stuff. There's, like, movie stuff. It's, like, nerd stuff. Like, stuff you'd really like.
You just actually gave me a good idea for my channel. I'm going to do opening videos of me opening and closing my door. And I'll see how many hits I get.
You probably, dude, if you do the Ben Luke Vader thing, yeah. Like I was watching some of your videos today; those are really funny. Yeah, like yeah, I like your channel, but she would do a good channel too, like WarRRYWART. I linked one of the videos she did with this guy. Do you know who he is? Metal Jesus.
Metal Jesus.
Metal Jesus rocks.
I don't get out much, so.
Okay, well, he's a big YouTuber, right? And he does like a lot of retro stuff. And she did videos with him, like covering like DS games, like Hidden Gems and things like that. She did 3 of these, right? And I seen her on there. And then Metal Jesus, I follow him on Twitter, and he responded to her, and I was like, oh, she's on Twitter, so that's how I met her. And I was like, hey, do you want to come on this podcast that we're doing? And then here you go. But yeah, she like did such a really good job on those videos that I was like, do you have a YouTube channel? And if you look at the comments on the video, that's what everybody says. They're like, hey, does she have a YouTube channel? She's great, blah blah blah. And so I'm just trying to tell her, it's a good way. She would like make a ton of money off that. You know what I'm saying? Because she's knowledgeable, and there's not a lot of, like, you notice a lot of the female gamers out there that have channels, they're not really knowledgeable about games, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And she comes across as really knowledgeable, and I think that's really cool, and now to my games that I am really embarrassed about, and so Kinsey isn't alone. I haven't played Half-Life or Half-Life 2.
Wow.
Yeah, I downloaded the orange box. It was on sale last Christmas on the 360 for $5. I haven't booted it. Yeah, I haven't booted it up yet, but yeah, people are always like Half-Life 3, damn it, and I'm like, I haven't even played the first 2, so I don't care. You know what I mean? So
have you not played Portal either?
I've never played Portal. I've never played Half-Life. Yeah.
Wow, Portal is yeah, I love Portal. Probably because it's so close to my heart. The concepts in it. Just the idea of like.
Because you like Aperture Science.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was just an amazing game. Like that came out of nowhere. You know what I mean?
You know, it was a mod or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it was just it's just an amazing game.
Yeah.
Oh, good. That was the second one.
That's another one. I mean, I never played any Portal games. I never played that.
It can get frustrating, but it's rewarding.
See, yeah, I suck. I totally suck at platformers and at puzzle games. I'm terrible.
Really?
Yeah, I'm terrible at them. Like I've never played Limbo. Have you guys heard of that game?
Oh yeah.
People love Limbo, and I've never played it because I'm terrible at those type of games. I mean, I thought it looked really cool.
Did you play Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons.
You know what? I love that game. I know I do a lot of the indies. Like people think I hate indies,
Yeah.
and that's not the case. The problem is like I was just saying maybe indies weren't a good reason to buy a new console.
Yeah.
Like there's a
Yeah.
difference. Like I like certain indie games. Like I love that game. It was it was in one of my top
Yeah,
5
that was
games
such a
of
good
last
game.
year. Like it was so interesting using the two sticks, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then like the story was really heartfelt too. Like even though there was no actual talking, but like they had their own kind of like sim language or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was like so sad towards the end. You know what I'm saying? I guess that would be one of the games that I don't cry or anything. I'm too manly for that. But I was like, damn, his brother died. Spoiler. But anyway, I was like, yeah, man, everybody died in that game. So yeah, it's one of those
So no
things.
Half-Life and no Portal for you.
Yeah, I've never played Half-Life. I've never played Portal. Um, there's probably some other ones. I never played. What's the Zelda that came after Ocarina of Time? Majora's Mask.
Majora's Mask.
I've
Yeah.
never played that.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, you know,
it was a bit different.
It's
It's sort
alright.
of like a time. It's time. His time's repeating itself in the course of 24 hours, and it was a big departure from Ocarina.
well, they rushed it out with like they got it out within like a year. That was what happened. Like that was almost the same thing that happened to KOTOR 2, and I really like KOTOR 2 as well. I thought it did a lot of things better than the first one, but the story wasn't one of them. And the ending was just all over the place. Like you didn't even really get an ending. It was just her telling you stuff, and that wasn't how it was supposed to end. But LucasArts was just rushing them so bad. You know what I mean? It was just like, hey, we got to get this game out. The first one sold millions of copies. We better get this other one out. You know what I'm saying? It was just like, I liked it, but it wasn't like as good as the other ones. There's probably a ton of other games that I'm forgetting that.
Yeah, I can't think of any that I haven't played that would be shocking other than Dragon Age.
You know what? I have never played any of the Ratchet and Clank games.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah, I
Those
never.
are fun.
Yeah, I hear they're fun. But I've never played any of those games, and and I never played the original Sly Cooper games either. I played
Wow.
I played the fourth one on the PS3, and I have the Sly Cooper collection on PS3
Yeah.
that it's unopened. They did a sale on it a couple years ago on Amazon. It was like $7, so I bought it.
Those
But I
original
don't.
games are really good.
Yeah, like like there's a lot, and the problem is like I said, I collect games and I like buy them just when I come across them, and so you wouldn't believe how many games I have just unopened or whatever, just sitting there. You know what I mean? Just kind of like not doing anything. Yeah, so those would be the games that I would be kind of embarrassed about. Like a lot of people will say you're not even a gamer if you haven't played Half-Life. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
yeah, as far as I'm concerned, I mean, have you played them, WarRRYWART? Are they good?
Oh, they're excellent.
Are
Again,
they?
it's one of those things that I'm interested in. So
Yeah, you have.
Aperture Science and it's interesting because in Half-Life there's almost a reference to the Portal games.
Yeah.
If you look for it, you'll see it. But the story in the games is really really good in the Half-Life games. You know what's interesting too? Do you remember the movie that came out a little while ago called The Mist?
Yeah, I remember The Mist. Wasn't it dinosaurs?
It was a science fiction movie where
Spoiler, dinosaurs, right?
yeah. It was a movie. Basically, the plot of the movie was some military base, and they rip a hole in space time, and all these other creatures from another dimension spill into our dimension for a limited amount of time. Then at the end, they go back. Well, originally, that script was the prequel for the game Half-Life.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's really, really good.
Huh. That's interesting. I think that's pretty damn interesting, actually. I don't know. I mean, like, there's just some games that, like, I don't know, like, you buy them and then you think you want to play them and then you start to play them or whatever, and they're just, or maybe you just never get around to it, and that's those
Sometimes,
games.
yeah.
for me.
Sometimes you just buy a game because everybody tells you how great it is. And,
Yeah, you know what? That happened to me with The Last of Us, and I'm not going to get into that much, but
well, that was a good game.
You haven't played The Last of Us?
I played it. I just wasn't a big fan of it.
I really enjoyed The Last of Us a lot, but I did like yell at the game at the end. So
Okay, like let me ask you something about The Last of Us. So, like, did you enjoy the story? I enjoyed the story, but I thought some of the mechanics to the gameplay weren't as good as they could have been.
I really enjoyed the story, and I didn't mind the mechanics so much. I don't know. I usually played as I'm gonna throw Molotovs and bricks, so like I was rarely in like super close combat. super rare.
Yeah. See, like for me, I suck at stealth games. So the fact that like a lot of the parts of that was stealth or got a little repetitive, where you throw something and make them run off the other way, that got a little bit old. I think it was a good game, but I think that that's one of those games where people are like tell you it's the most awesome game ever, and then you play it and then it's not.
It
Like
was
I don't think.
Yeah, it was a lot of people's like what 2013 Game of the Year pick.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it was almost everyone that every site that you could possibly go to gave the game.
Well, a lot of people
10
picked
out of
Grand
10.
Theft Auto as well that year, but I'm not a big fan. I mean, I thought it was an okay game, Grand Theft Auto 5.
I'm not a Grand Theft Auto fan.
But I didn't even finish that game. You know what I'm saying? Like it sold 33 million copies and won the VGA Awards Game of the Year, but uh, you
I don't
know.
know. I don't know. Like 2013 Game of the Year, it's got to go to Ni no Kuni for me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I shouldn't say I hate. I don't hate anything that, but I don't like random battles. I don't like turn-based combat.
Oh, that's my jam.
I just can't. I cannot get into turn-based. Probably, I mean, turn-based combat. The original Final Fantasy, like Final Fantasy 1, Final Fantasy 2, it was turn-based because of the technical limitations of the consoles at the time. You know what I mean? I mean,
Yeah.
real-time combat just couldn't be done. But then it became such a novelty that they kept doing it and doing it.
Wait, I never knew that. Wait, turn-based combat was only done because of the limitations of the hardware?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, back in the day. I mean, there was no 3D and there was no way to do combat. I mean, I think the first game that really did it well was probably the original Legend of Zelda on the NES.
Yeah.
Where it was actual, you were doing the combat. It was real time. You hack and slash and things like that. But in terms of like the combat in a big RPG type of game, it just wasn't able to be done. Even in like a later game like Phantasy Star on the Sega Genesis. I mean, I'm sorry, the Sega Master System. You remember that game?
Yeah, I remember it.
Yeah, even that game was turn based, and that was a lot more technically advanced than Final Fantasy. I just can't get into the turn based combat. But,
You know what? I'm not a big turn-based fan, but I really like the turn-based system that was in South Park: The Stick of Truth.
well, yeah. Well,
Oh,
I
it's
mean,
like Mario RPG. Yeah.
yeah, exactly, yeah. But what I was going to say, Ni no Kuni, what kind of didn't sell me on it, but I stuck with it was just the art style in the game was great.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's so beautiful.
Yeah, I thought it was a good art. Like the top two games for me in 2013 were Tomb Raider and BioShock Infinite. Those were probably my and then probably Brothers would probably round out the three. But all those games were just so well done and for different. You know what I'm saying? Like I never completed any of the original Tomb Raiders.
You know what's interesting though, when you say BioShock Infinite, a lot of people criticize BioShock Infinite for the same thing that you criticize Last of Us for, and they said the gameplay. The story of BioShock Infinite and the graphics were great, but the gameplay was just so repetitive. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, you know what? I thought the story was so great, and I liked the. Originally, I was like, oh, you have to like handhold this girl throughout the whole game, but it wasn't like that. It wasn't like an escort mission. She took care of herself and actually helped you out, and I really liked the strong characters in that. You know what I'm saying? Like I thought it was a strong female lead, and same thing with Tomb Raider. Like I guess. I'm like probably the least racist, least sexist person I know. So I like the idea of having strong, like female characters in games. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I thought,
and Tomb Raider did it really well. The new Tomb Raider.
yeah,
the new one did.
like that one was excellent. Like that was like I went back and played it again on my Xbox One. It was so good, and loved that one just as much. I was like, wow, this game really still holds up. The story was great, the voice acting was great. But I remember at the time people were like, they complained. They're like, oh no, she doesn't swim. And I was like, oh my, you didn't even think about it the whole time I played it.
Yeah, you know what didn't make sense is a lot of the complaints that I heard about that game were it doesn't feel like Tomb Raider. Well, it's an origin story. You know what I mean? Like she isn't Lara Croft yet. She's not a Tomb Raider yet. So,
Yeah, she even comments, I hate tombs in the game.
So I'm sure the next game will be really good, but let's not forget that the first company that actually put a strong female lead in a game was Nintendo with Samus Aran.
Oh yeah, and that was a surprise at the end.
Right. And that's why I'm so shocked. Why haven't they done anything with that?
I have no idea. A lot of people played Mass Effect with the female shepherd.
Yeah, I always do.
I did too. Well, sometimes I played one each with each of them, but I think just for like the lesbian scenes or whatever. But anyway, But anyway, yeah, like for me, I never got to why there isn't like a female character in like Grand Theft Auto or Call of Duty, or why would that be a big deal? You know what I mean? I think that
Yeah, it's probably just it's just a predominantly male-dominated, you know, gaming market. That's probably what it is.
But
well,
that's
yeah,
why Saints Row did it, because Grand Theft Auto wasn't doing it.
Right. I mean, Saints Row the Third. Did you play that?
I am actually currently playing the fourth one,
the
but I
fourth
haven't
one is
played the
awesome.
third one.
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I'm sorry. Not the third. The last one is with the aliens, correct?
Yeah, fourth, Saints
Yeah.
Row the fourth.
Yeah. That game is great.
You know what? I played that game. Like, this is what happened, all right? I played Saints Row 1, loved it. I have Saints Row 2, but I didn't play it. Saints Row 4, well, I heard was so crazy and wacky and had power, so I bought that one and just skipped to that one, and I loved it. And the beginning, where it, like, does the rock music, and he's like,
Oh, it's so good.
I was hooked on that game right from that part. I was like, there's that Aerosmith playing, and you're trying to stop this bomb from going off. I was like, it makes fun of Call of Duty with the QTEs at the beginning. I was just like, I'm into this game, so I love that game. And then of course, part 3 is the free game this month on 360.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna download that and actually play through it because I haven't played through 3 yet. But yeah, I love that game, and I like the idea of like the strong female leads. And Tomb Raider had such a strong story, and really, as ahead of that was really strong voice acting. I thought like the voice actors in that game were like were right on point. Like the lady who did Lara Croft, you could tell that she was I liked her interpretation.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really good.
Better than Angelina Jolie anyway. You know what I mean? But okay, last week, Kinsey, we talked about Star Wars, and I know that you were busy. You had your con thing to do.
Yeah.
But me and WarRRYWART talked about our favorite Star Wars movies. If you had to rank all 6 Star Wars movies in order from least to favorite, how would you rank yours?
Definitely Empire Strikes Back would be number 1 for me.
That was
Definitely.
Yeah, that was number 2 for me. Number 1 for WarRRYWART.
Yeah, that's my favorite one. Probably Return of the Jedi would be next. At number 2. You know what? And I listened to your guys' podcast, and I like the Ewoks. I'm just saying.
Oh, you know what? I don't. I don't hate Ewoks, but okay, look. If you watch the new trilogy, right? Like these Jedi that are highly trained can't beat the Empire. They can't beat them. But then what beats them? Little Ewoks. You know what I mean? They're not.
I love the Ewoks. They're adorable. But I didn't think about that until I listened to your guys' podcast, and I was like, that's a really good point.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we're like super nerdy, and thanks for listening to that because that was our first one, and I thought it went pretty good, considering it was just 2 of us, and we were just talking about Star Wars the whole time. So yeah, that went pretty good. But I like Episode 5. That's my favorite as well. So continue on.
All right. So Empire Strikes Back. Second, Return of the Jedi. Third, A New Hope. And next would probably be Revenge of the Sith, Attack of the Clones, and lastly, The Phantom Menace, because I did not like that. I love the pod racing game in the arcade and on the 64.
Yeah.
I love that game.
Yeah,
the movie was bad.
The first N64, the first N64 that I bought myself was the pod racing one. That came with the pod racing game.
Oh yeah, it's so good.
Yeah, it was really good. But that was the movie that got me into it. I mean, you listened to it. So Episode 1 was the one that got me into it because Episode 4 was boring. I liked it back in my day when they weren't all these weird numbers. Where it was just Star Wars Episode 1. You know what I'm saying?
What? What do you mean?
No, I'm just messing with Kinsey because she was talking about.
Oh yeah, one of my coworkers said that, and I was like, they do not hide Episode 4 from you. It is in the beginning.
I actually told Crap this the last podcast. I said it wasn't Star Wars. It was Star Wars Episode 4. It's in the title crawl. You know what I mean?
They don't hide it from you.
Right.
Yeah, well, it's just but on the marquees it just says Star Wars.
Yeah.
Well, Star Wars Episode 4: A New Hope is really, really long.
Yeah. I mean, people would be like,
4. Yeah.
they would be like, hey, where'd the first few episodes go? We missed them.
Exactly.
There's absolutely no point in watching this one because we didn't see the first 3. So, yeah, we're over that. But are you excited about the Episode 7?
I'm extremely excited, especially with the cast members. I do like that some of the other people are unknowns, but they have the key people back, with the exception of Billy D. Williams, which I'm actually really upset about.
Yeah, I was too. I mean, how can you have this movie without Lando? I mean, he's Lando.
He's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. The only thing I can think of is maybe they thought that it was just getting a little bit too heavy with old characters. You know what I mean?
They can suck it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, he could still be on the movie. That was just like the principal cast. But okay, if that's the principal cast, there's no way Kenny Baker is going to be R2 the whole time.
No, I mean,
Yeah.
it's probably just out of respect that they bring those people back. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, come on, Peter Mayhew has I think he had knee replacement surgery.
Yeah. He
I mean,
lost about
yeah.
900.
Yeah, so I seriously doubt if he's gonna be they'll probably use CG or whatever for some of it, but I mean, I'm interested in it. I've heard a lot of mixed things. People are like, well, it'll probably be bad, because that's how people are nowadays. They just automatically assume that things are gonna be bad. But I really like what J.J. Abrams did with the Star Trek movies.
Yeah, I liked those a lot.
Yeah, I like what he did. With the exception of towards the end of the second one, I really like that one too. Because I feel like he was doing his own movies, and then he kind of tried to do a little bit of the older movies with the reversal of the whole Khan thing. And then you had Spock yelling out Khan instead of Kirk. I don't know. It's kind of
Yeah.
But what you have to remember though, these movies are it's not actually the Star Trek that we remember. It's an alternate reality Star Trek.
Yeah, even though Spock is in there.
So the timeline isn't the same. It's still Kirk, it's still Spock, but it's not the Kirk and Spock from the movies that we grew up with and the TV show that we grew up with.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, go ahead.
I just didn't like the Spock Uhura thing. It didn't make any sense to me.
How they got together? Yeah.
That is a little bit weird.
Yeah, I don't like that.
The guy that plays Spock is gay in real life, so I always thought that was kind of odd to think too.
That's why they call it acting crap.
I know. I know, but isn't that weird to think about though? I mean, I don't know. It's I think he's a good actor, But
he nailed it.
Neil Patrick Harris is gay, and have you seen How I Met Your Mother?
Oh yeah. I like that show a lot. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I totally get that. For me, that was a little bit odd to couple them together. You know what I mean? In the original movies, Uhura and Scotty got together in the later movies, and she and Kirk in the actual series, I think once.
Yeah,
they kissed once. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a big deal back then.
That was the first interracial kiss. That's why. On screen. Yeah, and Kirk was the man. He didn't discriminate. That's one thing about him, man. He was green aliens, black chicks. He was all about it. You know what I'm saying? That's why, me and Kinsey were talking about this before we started doing the show because she watches the original Star Trek show. That's her favorite one. And I said, yeah, that's really good. And I was mentioning that when I was younger, I used to watch the reruns all the time, and I made my mom sew on a Star Trek insignia on my shirt, so that I could be like Captain Kirk, because I thought he was just so badass. And in fact, I used to try to do the little punch like he does. When he's fighting the Gorn and he does the double-fisted punch?
Yeah.
I try to do that. I try to emulate that. I just thought I was so badass. I was like, yeah, take that. And then you realize you hurt yourself when you do that. So.
Hey, did you get the originals on Blu-ray? They came out on Blu-ray.
You know what? I have. I think I have the 2 seasons. Actually, people are gonna be upset about this, but on HD DVD.
Oh.
HD DVD. Do you have the 360?
I have the 360 HD DVD adapter, right? And check this out, right? That's how much of a Microsoft fan I am. Yeah. But anyway, quiet Warrior, she doesn't know. Anyway, yeah, so I have that. But then what happened was somebody sold me 500 HD DVDs for $75.
Huh.
And they're HD. You know what I'm saying? It's The Matrix, the Star Wars, Heroes, Transformers, really good movies, and they're just as HD as anything else that's HD. And yeah, it's just in a format that's dead now. But yeah, I have the HD DVD player, and yeah.
Star Trek was Star Trek. You don't realize how influential Star Trek, the TV show, was to just everything that we have now. You know what I mean? In terms of technology and cell phones and the communicator that they had. Actually, do you remember the StarTAC flip phones, cell phones that came out?
Were they the legit cell phones?
They were legit cell phones,
and they made the noise, right?
They were actually modeled after, and actually the guy who created cell phones actually modeled it after the TV show.
Well, I mean,
Oh,
who
that's
did
awesome.
when you first had a flip phone, who didn't pretend it was a communicator? I mean,
Right,
come on,
exactly,
you know,
exactly.
like, hey, Kirk, I mean, Scotty, I'm here on this planet. Beam me up.
Send me a blue chick.
Send me. Yeah, I mean, I really like that, but until science creates lightsabers, you know, who
Well,
cares?
that's impossible. There's nothing. I don't want to get into why it's impossible, but it's impossible.
Oh, okay, yeah, bore us a little bit there, Warren.
Yeah, it would be really boring for me to explain it to you, but it's not
Well,
possible.
Is it because it needs an ending point, right?
Yeah, you have to have something to refract light back on itself, and it's just not possible.
well,
Yeah.
in the words of Hubert Farnsworth, nothing is impossible if you can imagine it.
Oh, okay, yeah. See, she's a big Futurama fan. I
Okay.
don't. Are you a Futurama fan, Worrywart?
I heard of it. I've never watched it.
Oh my gosh! God,
It's
come
so
on,
good.
Worry. It's like an awesome cartoon. It's like really good. And there's this captain on there named Zap Brannigan, and he's modeled after Captain Kirk. And there's actually an episode where they had the original cast on there. And it's really really funny. It's really well done. We were talking about this earlier as well. Like before I go to bed, I turn on Netflix and let it roll on Futurama, you know, because all the episodes are so good, and just that's what I go to sleep to like every night, you know, just crank on Futurama, go to sleep. It's either that
So
or The
good.
Simpsons, but The Simpsons I gotta. Well, you know what I did to remedy that is, but I got to use 360. I don't know if you guys heard of this thing. It's called T-versity, and it's a program that lets you stream like movies or shows from your computer to your 360.
No,
Right?
I haven't heard of it.
Okay, yeah. Well, you guys should look into it. You could do it for PS3 as well, right? So what I did was I have all the seasons of The Simpsons on DVD. I ripped them to my hard drive on my computer, and then uploaded them up into this T-versity program, so I can stream, you know, my entire Simpsons collection through PS3 or Xbox 360. Apparently, you can't do that stuff yet on the new consoles, but it's really cool to be able to stream my entire movie collection or whatever. That's why, like, I used to be all for like hardcore physical media, but I actually like the idea of digital for some stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And,
And-
what's
Go
sorry,
ahead.
one more thing about Futurama, because this could go on forever, but if you like Star Trek, they have a lot of episodes of Futurama modeled after original Star Trek episodes. Like they have one where like Zoidberg, the alien, goes back to his home planet to mate because he's freaking out. Like
He's got the
Yeah,
funk
exactly.
bar.
Hey,
He's got the funk bar.
and he goes, oh, right? And
Yeah.
none of the women want him. None of the women want him, and he feels bad. And then him and Fry get in that fight, almost like Kirk and Spock. It's like yeah, it's like that, and then
They have the same music too.
yeah, and then he cuts off Fry's arm. He like cuts off his arm. So yeah, like that show is like hilarious. You should check it out, Warrior.
Yeah, I'll have to check it out on
You
Netflix.
need to up your nerd level a little bit, because I know last week your wife said that you were such a nerd.
Yeah, you know what was funny? I'm flying and I got a text because she was watching the podcast that we did, and she just texted me, you know, I'm married to the biggest nerd. And then she says, you spent like almost 2 hours talking about imaginary characters with lightsabers.
hey, you want me to tell you how bad it was? All right, like when Star Wars Episode 1 came out, like I said, that was the first one that got me into Star Wars. I had a little brother at the time who was only about like 8 years old. So I was so interested in Star Wars that I bought him a bunch of these action figures just so I could play it with him and not be weird about it. You know what I'm saying? Here I'm playing with my little brother. We're playing Star Wars, right? But it's not weird because he's only 8 or 9, and yeah.
You know,
So it was like,
I just did that with a 3DS. I bought a 3DS for my nephew, saying it was for my nephew just so that I could play with it and not feel.
oh,
Yeah.
dude, I wouldn't feel bad about playing a 3DS, man. 3DSs are awesome. Now, if
Very
you,
meaningful.
yeah, like they're really good. That's like Kinsey's thing. She likes like DSs and 3DS. Like, I bought the DS in 2005 when it came out, because I remember Nintendo's like, here it is, the DS, but this isn't what it's gonna look like when we release it, and it's not gonna be called the DS. And damn sure if it didn't look like that, and damn sure if it wasn't called the DS.
Hey,
And like. Yeah, and it wasn't it like clumped on top of each other like really badly, and then they redesigned it.
what do you think of the
It's much better.
2DS?
You know what? The 2DS seems to me like something that would scratch up pretty bad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I always think. I kind kind of like that it has the lower price point because then it gets other people in the door to games that may not have done it
Yeah.
before. But I've never held one. I want to like
Now,
see what it's like. But,
do you use the 3D on your 3DS a lot?
I do not.
Yeah, I don't either. So
why don't they just come out with a 2DS that's like that's modeled like the 3DS, but just as 2D? Because I don't know anybody that uses the 3D in that thing. Because remember back years ago when 3D was a thing and now it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a couple people who like love it and swear by it, but I can't do it. It's not my jam.
Does it give you a headache?
Yeah, it gives me a headache, and you have to like hold it just right, and I like I don't know, I like move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're alive. You have to move.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen some of the I've seen some of the 3D. I've like used some of the 3D effects and stuff. Like some games do it okay, but it's like at the end of the day, it drains the battery fast and it's not that good. And it like sometimes the 3D effect is more like, is that my vision? Am I having a stroke? You know what I mean? It's like what's going on here? So yeah, like whenever I use it, I never use the 3D on that damn thing. I just I mean, I like it, but, I think that the 2DS is a cool idea, but I don't like the design of that. I can see why they're trying to maybe give something for kids, maybe that maybe parents don't want to give their kid like a $600 tablet.
Yeah, it looks kind of like a doorstop, so.
Yeah, it does. It looks like an axe handle, like an axe, right?
Yeah.
Like I seen that meme where they put it on the end of like an axe handle and it looks like a damn axe. Yeah, so I mean, I think it's cool, but like if you're like WarRWART, do you have any handheld consoles?
Oh yeah, I still have the Nomad. I still have the Lynx. I have a 3DS. I have remember the Game Boy Micro?
Yeah, you know what? That thing is so rare, but it was so awesome. I can't find one anywhere.
I have one of those on my keychain.
Because remember, like, what happened is Nintendo does this sometimes. They'll come out with a revision, like, right when they're coming out with the new piece of hardware. So, like, a lot of people ignore it. But that was a really great idea because you could play all the Game Boy Advance games.
Right.
And it's, like, on this little tiny thing. And you could, like, switch out remember when switching out faceplates was all the rage?
Oh, yeah. Back when I had my NES.
Yeah, that's why the 360 had faceplates. I mean, because that was all the rage. People were switching out faceplates on their phones, and it was like, hey, check out this faceplate. It's like whatever. And now like that, we laugh at that. But yeah, that was so cool, and that's a rare item. If you look up on eBay now, it's like.
Oh yeah, that's why I kept it.
Yeah, it's like $100 or whatever. It's like one of the things that I want to get that I think might be rare one day. You know those red Nintendo Wiis, those just little red and black ones.
Mm-hmm.
Are you talking about the Wii Mini?
Yeah, the Wii Mini.
Yeah. Those are only like $100 too. I'm tempted because I think it might be rare.
Exactly. I'm tempted too, and not only that, even though I don't condone it, you can completely update those things and use like games like that you download or whatever.
I also have the Game & Watch Donkey Kong game, the clamshell.
Is that the original one?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's worth quite a bit of money.
Yeah. It actually takes a watch battery.
Yeah, the Game & Watches are really cool.
Yeah.
That's what the DS was modeled after, and that was like a brilliant move on their part. But yeah, like I have a PSP, and like I said, I actually collect for that because the games are cheap for it. But also I have like memory cards where you can actually put ROMs on there. I have like the first Metal Gear on there. I have like almost the entire Genesis collection on there, Super Nintendo stuff, NES stuff, Bonk's Adventure. You could do so much stuff with it. That's one of the reasons why that console failed, was because it was so easy to like pirate for.
Yeah, I don't know I don't think Sony really should do handhelds. I just don't.
I have a feeling, like I like the Vita. Like my brother has one. It's a
what's the story with that now? I mean, is it not going to get games now or something?
Well,
like that,
basically, what Sony said was the AAA format doesn't work for that. They can't afford to do that. So what they're going to do is use PlayStation Now and use like ports and stuff. So if you notice, it's getting a lot of indie games, and like it'll get a lot of PlayStation 1, 2, and 3 games, which is fine. But I mean,
does Lindsay have one?
Or Kinsey?
Kinsey, I'm sorry. Do you have it?
Yeah, because you called her by the wrong name and wonder why she didn't answer.
I don't have a Vita, but I kind of want one because I want to play Army Corps of Hell, Gravity Rush. I really want to play Touch My Katamari, and I really like saying that name for some reason. But
well, you know what? Like, if you have PlayStation Plus, I guess one of the cool things about having a Vita is they basically give you all their games for free, all the good ones.
Yeah, I do have PlayStation Plus. And I
Yeah.
mean, if I got a Vita, I'd just be taking more advantage of that or advantage.
I wanted to play Tearaway.
Oh, I wanted to play that too.
You know what? I
Yeah.
heard that was like a really, really great game, and it's only like $20 or something.
Yeah, but I don't know if I want to buy a Vita just for Tearaway. You know?
Yeah, dude,
Yeah.
get the Borderlands 2 pack, dude, and just suck it up, man.
Yeah, that's
Just
another
do an
game.
unboxing, be like Vita, Vita, Borderlands 2 unboxing, and then
By the
like
way, there's another game I've never played.
Borderlands 2.
Borderlands.
I haven't. I don't think I played the first one. I played the second one.
Or the second one.
I played both.
Did you like them?
Yeah, they're fun. They're kind of gave it a little bit more like RPG elements to a shooter game, which I like RPGs. So if a game is just like a shooter, I usually don't play it. I mean, I like all the Halo games, of course. I played all the campaigns of all those, but I don't know. I gave it like a different thing that made it so I wanted to play it, and the like kind of the cell shaded graphics look really awesome in that game, almost like comic booky. So
Yeah. Like I like the cell shaded graphics. Like I bought Borderlands 2, and I thought that was really good. But that's one of the games where I bought the first one after everybody else already played through it, and I couldn't find anybody to play through it with me. And it sucks playing it by yourself. I just got slapped around. Like, if that's not one, it's a game that's not fun to play by yourself, in my opinion. Like, I don't know if you play by yourself, but it's definitely a co-op game.
yeah, I played the first one by myself, and then the second one I played co-op.
Isn't it much better co-op? Don't you think?
It's way better. Well, I think anything I would rather play with somebody else. Well, except for like Skyrim. I don't want to play Skyrim with two people. But like,
yeah, Skyrim was fine by its. Like, you know what? Skyrim was like such a good game. Like, I didn't think I'd like it because I didn't really like Oblivion.
Oh, how could you not like it?
You know why I couldn't like it? Because, man, this is gonna get me some hate. I looked bad on 360. Like, I was playing it and everything was real blocky. You know, that was one of the first games that come out on the 360.
What game?
Oblivion.
You thought it looked bad?
Yeah, I thought it looked bad.
Wow.
Yeah, so I was like, I didn't want. Yeah, I know, I'm an asshole. But anyway, yeah. So it's like, so I couldn't play it. I was like, it looks bad, and then I was like, I seen Skyrim, and my brother got it. I bought it for him for Christmas the year it came out, and he was having so much fun with it, and I was like, damn, that looks good. I'm gonna get it. So I bought it, and literally when I was at work, I was thinking about going home and leveling up and how I would do that and do some smithing and like build some.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, it was like I was so immersed into that world, and I was like, man. And when you think about the world that they put on that game and how good it looked, and like the size of that game was only like 4 gigs or something.
Yeah.
Like they were really masters of like people were like, I bet it's going to be on 10 discs on the 360. And I was on 1. You know what I mean? So I like those guys do really good work. I'm like, have you guys? Oh, you know what? I've never played Fallout.
what?
I've never played Fallout. I own Fallout 3 and I own Fallout New Vegas. I bought them both, and I've never played those damn games. Yes, I'm ashamed. The shame is.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I love Fallout 3. I like Fallout Brotherhood. I like Fallout New Vegas. Like they're all so good.
Yeah, I've never. Maybe I'll get around the planet. You know what? I don't. Like I like games that kind of hold your hand and tell you where to go. I guess.
You're really killing yourself in this podcast.
Yeah, I'm like burying myself. People are gonna use this stuff against me like all the time now.
I like games that are green and say Microsoft on them.
No, I mean not just Microsoft stuff. I'm just saying like the thing for me is like, you know how in Skyrim you could use that spell and you push the button and it will tell you which direction to go.
Oh, yeah. Clairvoyant.
Yeah, right. That's what I like. Like in, or I get lost easily.
In Fallout, there's a line on your map that tells you where to go.
Yeah, but like, you know what? I think I tried playing Fallout 3 once, and the line was like in blackness though. Like you couldn't really tell where to go, and then like the guns wouldn't really kill people the way I wanted them to. You know, I'd be shooting people and they wouldn't die. Yeah, I suck. I realize that. I haven't played Fallout. I haven't played.
Play New Vegas first then. Like New Vegas, I think is a little like, I don't want to say easier, but sure, it's a little easier.
Yeah.
And like the world seems smaller, like there's more going on.
Yeah. See, like people are all like, "Oh, Fallout 4 gets announced at E3," and I'm like, I haven't even played any of the Fallout, so it doesn't matter to me much. You know what I mean? It's like I don't know. It's like the same people that are like, "Oh, Microsoft announces AR headset," and I'm like, I hope not, because that stuff doesn't interest me. You know what I mean? It's just like, I guess we're all different, but yeah, that's like if I had to pick some games that I'm ashamed of for not having played, it'd be Fallout 2 or Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas and the Orange Box. I haven't played any of that stuff, so yeah, shame on me.
Oh well.
Yeah, shame on you. No.
Shame. Yeah. Damn, and I never played that Zelda game on the, I believe it was the Super Nintendo where it was 2D.
Are you talking about Link to the Past?
Link to the Past,
Like
yes.
one of the
You never
best Zelda
played that?
games ever.
Yeah, I
How
never
could you
played.
not have played that? That's
Dude,
like
I
somebody
don't know,
saying,
man. I'll get
that's
around
like
to it.
asking somebody, have you ever seen E.T.? And they say no.
Man, I cried at ET. I admit that. I admit it.
How could you not have played? Oh,
Yeah, you know what? I got a long list of games that I need to play, and to be honest with you, I noticed since I started my YouTube channel, I play games a lot less. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
well, that's one of the reasons why I'm kind of hesitant to really go crazy with the whole YouTube thing, because you kind of get caught into putting a video out and seeing who's viewing it and looking at comments and getting hits, and then you get into arguing, and then you realize that the reason you're doing these videos in the first place is because you love gaming, and
yeah.
while you're doing these videos you're not gaming, you know.
Yeah, I get that, but for me, you know what? I'm so passionate about games. You know what I mean? I think that comes across like my voice will rise. Like normally, I'm more monotone, and sometimes my videos are like that. I don't know if you've seen some of them where like I'll be like, "Hey, this is Crap Gamer. How you doing? You know, hey, you know." And then like when I'm talking about games or in this podcast, I love gaming so much that my voice naturally is like rises. You know what I'm saying? It's like higher, and I'm like really invested in talking about it. And so that's basically what happens. I really love it, and I like being a voice. Like a lot of people like what I have to say with the reviews and stuff. You know what I mean? Like originally, I was telling Kinsey this. I run that gaming clan, and they used to ask me. They're like, "Hey, can you review some games?" Because I was having so many games, and you know, a lot of people can't afford to get a lot of games, so they want to know what games are good and what aren't. So I started doing reviews for them, and then that started like springing my channel. You know,
Kinsey doesn't have YouTube.
no,
No,
she
I-
doesn't. But
Oh,
don't you
okay.
think? I mean, like just from her personality and stuff, don't you think
I
she'd do
thought,
great with that?
what was it you were saying that you did? Was that not, that was not YouTube? That was, what was
Well,
that?
she did do some YouTube videos for with Metal Jesus.
Oh, okay. But there was something else that she does, correct?
She
Yeah.
does. Yeah, go ahead and you can explain.
I'm also the social media and PR director for Seattle Retro, which
Okay.
is like the local Seattle gaming scene, and we put on an expo every year, and we do events monthly and stuff like that. So
Is it just retro gaming?
for the most part, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, see, like I also told her how me and you are in a more in your face podcast on Sundays, and so and so we did
Well,
this one.
I'm sort of like the voice of reason, and everybody else is.
Yeah, yeah, Warrior Wart's the voice of reason, you know, but I'm the what's my role? I don't even know.
You're
You
the
know.
Microsoft shill.
Yeah, I'm the shill. That's what. That's what I do. I wish Microsoft would cut me a check. Maybe one day they'll listen and be like, "Hey, this guy goes to bat for us like no other.
Yeah.
Here's some of those money." You know what I mean? But yeah. So I wanted to do a podcast like that's what this one's all about because I was like, hey, you know, maybe we can be like talk about just games again and have fun, you know, and that's why I like talking about like the retro stuff and things like that. And as we go on to like it's been like an hour and a half now.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll start to wrap it up. But Kinsey, you can go ahead and give out your information again and stuff, and I'll make sure to link it in there. So go ahead and do that.
All right. Well, for Seattle Retro, you can find us at seattleretro.org, on Twitter at Seattle Retro, facebook.com/Seattle Retro. And if anyone's local, or if you want to, I mean, if you want to fly to Seattle for our expo, that'd be cool too. But it's June 28th and 29th at the Washington State Convention Center. So yeah, check us out. You can find me on Twitter at Kinzilla. I'm on there a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She, like I said, she posts a lot of alcoholic beverage pictures. She's like drink. She like posted this picture one time, like she's like drinking this like quart of liquor, right?
Quart?
No, a 40 ounce. I'm sorry, it was a 40
quart.
ounce. No, okay, look here
Wow.
in Florida, we don't have quarts or we don't have 40 ounces. We have quarts, right? Like up north, they have 40 ounces, and that's what she was drinking. And I was like, "What's that?" And she's like, "A 40 ounce." And I was like, "Oh, we only have quarts here." And yeah, so I was like, yeah, like she like posts a lot of alcoholic beverage drinks, so she knows how to party.
I do like beer a lot, especially Seattle's a good beer scene too.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And Warrior Wart, go ahead and give people your info too.
My info, like I have a lot of info.
Dude, you got that? You got that badass channel, man.
Oh yeah, it's so huge. It's
Dude,
gigantic.
hey, you know what? You did some really good videos. Everybody talks about that Spiderman 2 video.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
And the Ass and Creed game.
Yeah, the Ass and Creed. Look at this smoke. It's upscaled.
You guys can find me on Twitter, WorryWart, W0RRYWART, and I have an extremely, extremely small YouTube channel, and half of the fun is finding it, so good luck.
Well, you know what? I uploaded some of your stuff, like, so, and I link it. Like, I make sure I link it, and you're also on my front page. Like, I promote all the guys that we do the podcast with. So.
I try and just make light of the whole everyone's in a war type thing.
Yeah, the console war thing.
Between
Yeah,
their favorite pieces of plastic, you know.
Yeah. Exactly. And I'm Crap Gamer, and you guys pretty much know who I am. Anyway, I want to thank Kinsey for being on the show. I really appreciate it. Hopefully, you had a really good time.
Yeah.
And you're always welcome back anytime you want. Make sure you check out the videos. I posted the videos that she did with Metal Jesus, and the link to the Seattle Retro stuff. And I'll probably post her Twitter thing as well, so you guys can go follow and not stalk her or anything, but just be cool about it. All right, man. Anyway, thanks for joining, guys. Crap Gamer, out.